name is Federica and I'm part of the DocCity team, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to this live presentation of ZLC. And we will have with us today Marta Romero and Felipe Fernandez. I will be asking you to leave all of your questions into the Q&A section. So feel free to type all of your questions during the presentation. We will be answering at the end of the presentation. And just before starting, we would like to share with you a video, and then we can begin with the presentation. So thank you so much. We will then now start with our presentation.
El éxito de ZLC se encuentra en la calidad de los programas formativos, en el alto nivel de los resultados de investigación y en la pertenencia al MIT Global Scale Network, que nos imprime un marcado carácter internacional.
MIT chose to come to Aragon because it was clear to us that Aragon is invested in logistics. It has been becoming a center of logistics for distribution for the entire Iberian Peninsula, attracting companies, and it became a hub of activity for logistics.
Hello, my name is Hani Khatib. I'm from Syria. I have been working in the supply chain for 11 years. The impressive part was being surrounded by 180 students. We had the chance to work together. I'm very curious for what's coming next.
Hello, my name is Nadia. I'm from Germany. I worked as a supply chain planner. What we do here is to learn about analytical methods, supply chain concepts, but we also applied the knowledge in a practical thesis project, and this is what makes the knowledge really stick to me.
ZLC es un trampolín para juniors y para profesionales del sector de la supply chain, y además una llave de entrada fantástica para recién graduados que quieran desarrollarse en el mundo de la logística.
ZLC, junto con el apoyo del Gobierno de Aragón, se ha consolidado como un hub de talento para las empresas.
Great. So it's now time to leave the floor to Marta.
Thank you very much, Federica. So let me share my screen with you guys. And I'm happy to see some familiar names on the participant list. Some of you we've been in touch with already, and we're looking forward to answering more of your questions today. So I have to be very thankful to Felipe, who is with us today. So he's one of our current students in the residential program. So around this time of the year, they're always very busy. And today they're actually running a simulation game. So he's just going to be with us for this hour, and then he's going to go back with his team to keep on working on the simulation game. As Federica mentioned, so I'm the director of the International Masters Program. And Felipe, would you like to say a few things about yourself and why are you here today?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Felipe Fernandez. I was born in Spain. I studied in Germany, and I was working in the automotive sector for a while. And I decided I wanted to do a master's, and I searched for something more general within the engineering world. And I found that there was this master's offering in Spain, and I applied and I got accepted. And I've been here for 3-4 months, and it's been a journey. It's been very fun, and we're learning a lot. And as Marta said, we do a lot of projects, a lot of hands-on work. Right now we're working on a simulation, and yeah, I think the way that we're learning here is quite hands-on, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Okay. Thanks, Felipe. So today we're going to talk about the different programs, but to give you a little bit of background of what we are and why this partnership with MIT was established. So we belong to the MIT Global Scale Network. SCALE stands for Supply Chain and Logistics Excellence. And we've been around for many years now, so 17 years since the program was launched, and we're part of this network. So our partner in MIT is CTL, Center for Transportation and Logistics. So we were the pioneer center in the Global Scale Network. So our center was founded in 2003. Then there was a center created in Colombia, CLI, in 2008. Then on the other side of the world in Malaysia in 2011, and more recently our colleagues from the centers in Luxembourg and in China. So overall, what does it mean? It's 14 programs in total. We have over 100 academic partners who sponsor thesis projects and other related academic projects at a different level. We also have over 100 researchers and faculty within the network, and we have over 200 corporate partners. And of course, if we talk about the city, so the programs, the international programs where you will be studying hopefully in the near future. So the program takes place in Zaragoza in Spain. Zaragoza has the perfect size. It's not a big city. It's not also a small city. It has a population of over 700,000 people. The good thing is that we are very close to the four other main cities in Spain, which are of course Madrid and Barcelona. Everybody knows about Madrid, Barcelona, but also Valencia and Bilbao, that is within 300 kilometers, as you can see on the map. And also you can see the main European cities are within 1,500 kilometers. So as mentioned by Felipe, so he's been living in Zaragoza for a few months now. And we think that we can consider ourselves very fortunate because our program is currently being held face-to-face, which in some other parts of the world, they've been forced to continue with online education. So we've been blessed in that sense. We started on a hybrid format. That meant that there were few people in the class while other people joined on Zoom. And by now, so we have the whole cohort of the residential student in class, except for one student. We're still hoping that the student will be able to join us after the Christmas period, and that we will be able to continue with the face-to-face interaction, which is very important. So even though there's a lot of restrictions going on at the moment because of the pandemic, I'm sure that Felipe can also tell us a little bit more about what it is like to live in Zaragoza. And I think that we're pretty nice people, right, Felipe? And given that it's not a big city, it's also very easy to go back. So if you want to add something, Felipe?
So yeah, I'm in Spain. We're generally very welcoming, I think. I've lived in other parts of the world, and Spanish people are very friendly, so that you'll have. And yeah, what Marta was saying, Zaragoza is not too big as Madrid or Barcelona, where it can be a bit, the city can be a bit too large. Zaragoza, you have everything close. You can go practically everywhere by bike. So it's quite comfortable, but it's not a small town neither. So we have plenty of things to do. Right now with COVID, everything's a bit closed and we can't do as many activities, but you have everything you need in Zaragoza.
Yeah, also that needs to be taken into account is that it's not an expensive city either. So if you're thinking about the budget, what you would need in terms of living expenses and accommodation, you can go by with 600 euros per month. You saw already on the video, so this is where our facilities are. Of course, our center is not every single building that you see in there. It's actually one of the red ones. I'm sitting at home today. I was in the center this morning, and Felipe is not only wearing the ZLC hoodie, but he's also at our facilities because of the heavy workload. And also we wanted to be separately, because otherwise we would have needed to be wearing a mask, which wouldn't have been very convenient for this presentation. So we've been in the center where you see for the past couple of years. And so there's bus bikes that would take you there. There is public transportation. There's a lot of people that do come by bike. Other people come by scooter. So it's it really, you can be in the city center within 15 minutes. So at least you save that in commuting, and you can be spending more time at the center to study and focus on your assignments and your teamwork, on your thesis projects, etc. So if we talk about our center as university, because the Zaragoza Logistics Center, so it's officially a research institute affiliated with the University of Zaragoza. There's two things that we do. So on one hand, we have research, and on the other, we have education. So within the education department, we have different programs, and today we're going to talk to you about the 3 international master's program. We also have a PhD program. We also run executive education courses, and we also have a program that is part-time and that is taught in Spanish. So those are the 2 universities we are affiliated with. So of course, the degree is granted by the University of Zaragoza, but you guys are also going to get a certificate from the MIT Global Scale Network because we are affiliated with MIT CTL Center for Transportation and Logistics. So today we're going to talk in more detail about the 3 programs that we have and that we run internationally in association with MIT. So our STAR program is the middle one. So the one that Felipe is taking at the moment is the program that's been around for 17 years now. The program that we're launching, we tried to launch it last year, but given that we ran into the pandemic, we had to postpone the launch of the program until this year. It's a program in collaboration with our center in Malaysia. So that would mean that you get to spend 5 months in Spain. 3 weeks at MIT, usually in January, although this is not going to be the case for the current class because then again, due to the uncertainty and how the pandemic is evolving. So not in January, but we're trying, of course, for sure, so that our students can go in June. But if everything goes according to plan and the vaccines are working and everything goes back to normal, we will be able to go with you guys in January. Plus 4 months at MIT, at the campus in Malaysia. So as you can see on the screen, the part which is common to the 3 programs is the stay at MIT for 3 weeks. And the residential students who are going to be in Zaragoza for 9 months, so they will have some more classmates in the spring and in the fall. So in the fall, they will have people from the Global Supply Chain Management program, and during the spring, they will have people from the blended program. The blended program, which is the last option that we have, is a blended option that combines 5 online courses plus comprehensive exam. With all those courses and the comprehensive exam, you're accredited of a MicroMaster's degree, and then you can apply for the blended program. So then again, you'll have the 3 weeks at MIT plus the 4 months in Zaragoza in Spain. Of course, you're looking to specialize into supply chain, and supply chain is a hotspot for talent. So we've been ranked number 1 in the masters in the rankings in supply chain for the past 4 years already, and so all the programs in the Scale Network. Also in supply chain management world, we've been ranked number 4, and for 9 years until they stopped running this ranking with the Spanish newspaper El Mundo. So this is something that we're of course very proud of, not only because of the education that the students are getting, but also because of what our alumni had to say when fulfilling and completing these rankings, that spoke very highly of our program, of the recruitment opportunities that our students had upon graduation, and also because they do an excellent job in helping the center. So they not only help me during the admissions process talking to potential students, they do come into the center with thesis projects for the students, and they also come with their companies to recruit. And this is Chris Kaplis. When we have this presentation, I used to say that this is someone that a lot of you may know, because he's been in charge of the MicroMaster. He is the executive director of the Center for Transportation and Logistics. He is someone we get to see a lot when we go to MIT in January. And just going to read what he said. So supply chain management is the art and science of getting products from where they're made, where you, the consumer, want them to be, right? So I'm going to talk briefly about the GSCM program, because the programs are basically the same if you compare it with the ZLOG program. So both programs are full-time, 10 months, very small programs. They are, we have a selective process that we want to make sure that the people who are in the program can cope with the analytical skills that the program required. It's a small class size. Of course, this year the class is a bit smaller than in previous year. We have 15 students in our residential program, and we have 10 students on our blended program, when we usually have 25 and 15 or 25 and 10 students in the blended program. Our programs are taught by international faculty members from all over the place, not only our permanent faculty members, but also the faculty members who are going to be visiting professors in the spring. Here, of course, the big difference among this program and the residential program is the opportunity to be living in a third country. So it's the cross-cultural experience. In fact, Felipe actually applied for the Global Supply Chain program as well. Unfortunately, so as I mentioned, for this academic year, there was a lot of uncertainty. So we're launching it this year, and we're really hoping that it's going to be an excellent program as well. The good thing about us running this program with Malaysia is that they know us very well, and we know them very well, since the director of the center in Malaysia used to be the director of Zaragoza Logistics Center a few years back. Regarding Malaysia, this slide, I got it from my counterpart in Malaysia. So as you can see, so it's the most attractive emerging market in Asia, global competitiveness among Asian countries, and Kuala Lumpur is livable cost of living in Asia. So of course, if you have any particular questions about the MISI, we won't be able to respond to you, but if you have any questions, we can send them to our colleague in Malaysia and get back to you as soon as possible. These are the facilities that you will get to near Kuala Lumpur over there. And this is the program structure, which is pretty much the same as the ZLOG program. So Sleep is with me here. We will let him tell us a little bit more about the A term that is almost over. So this morning we actually had a meeting with Felipe and another of his classmates who are members of the academic committee, and we were just wondering, like, okay, it's beginning of December, so I'm sure that you want for this term to be over, and Felipe doesn't think that it's been enough, so I think that he could go on a little bit more, but I think that a nice break after this hard fall term would really be something that the students look forward to. This is a slide from last year's Scale Connect at MIT. So as you can see, we have a group picture of our students at the dome. As you can see, there is something missing. That is the snow, because usually when we go to MIT, we're covered in snow. It's minus 25 degrees. So we had a mild 3 weeks last year, which is not pretty common. On the right, on the top, we have one speaker from Adidas. So there is a number of activities that are planned during the 3 weeks. One is, as I mentioned, so speakers from different multinationals, executives in supply chain. We have talks by MIT professors. We also have leadership seminars. We have visits in the Massachusetts area, and also the students get to present their thesis project in the form of a poster. And they present them in front of an audience of around 200 or 250 executives. In fact, if you see the two ladies on the picture at the bottom, so those are Isabella and Sneha, who are ZLOG students who actually won the best poster award last year of the overall scale posters that were presented. And the other picture, we have like senior representatives, so Joshi Sheffi, who is the director of the Center for Transportation and Logistics, and the reason why all of us in the different centers are here and that we have our programs. We see, again, I mentioned to you, so Chris is very present. We have a speaker from Flex and two other members from the CTL department, Josue, who is the director of the SCM program, and Katie, who runs corporate education. We have experiential learning both in the ZLOG program and in the GSCM program. That is that our students get to work on a thesis project. So this is something that you guys do not need to worry about. You do not need to come and secure a thesis project. We look for the projects for you. So these are some of the companies that our colleagues in Malaysia have been working with up until now. And we will show you later the ones that we're working with at the moment and that our students are working with. And the students who will be taking part in the Global Supply Chain Management program will get the opportunity to graduate twice. That means that you can have your graduation with your colleagues in Malaysia, as well as your colleagues in Zaragoza. And believe me, it's feasible, because when we had a degree with NIMBO, we used to have Joshi Sheffi, who is our graduation speaker from MIT, fly from one of the centers to make it to graduation to the next of the centers. So it's feasible, and if you want to come and graduate in Zaragoza, that will be our pleasure. In fact, we owe a graduation to the students from the graduating class of 2020. So we're hoping to be able to plan a big graduation ceremony this year, because the graduation was online and it wasn't the same, actually. These are the key dates. Then again, so the deadlines are the same. So we already received some applications during the first round deadline, which was November 2015. And now we will have our second round deadline on January 15th. The third round deadline is March 15th. And then of course, we won't end with our admissions process then, because some people usually decide afterwards. So we have rolling admissions. We then make a difference between rolling admissions for international students who need a visa. Then the deadline will be June 1st. We won't accept applications after that date, because by the time that we send you our admissions decision, you accept the admission offer. If you need to apply for a visa, then it can take up to 2 months. And then of course, for the European students not needing a visa, or for Spanish students, the page says July 15, but it's actually beginning of August. We have partial scholarship for the programs as well as a loan. These are the scholarships that are available. So we have one which is specific, which is more general to all candidates, that has a coverage of 25%. I didn't mention, but the tuition for the Global Supply Chain Management program is 28,000 euros. We also have one specific for Asian students, and we do have one for women, which can cover up to 50% of the tuition. The admission requirements we can go over when we talk about the ZLOG residential program, since they are the same. And this is what it looks like if you're going to submit your application on GradApply, the platform that all MIT programs use. And this, of course, is our friend Joshi Sheffi. So you heard him already on the video, and you will get a copy of the presentation and you can watch it. So this is also what he has to say about the scale network, and also what he said about why establishing in Zaragoza in Spain. And if we talk about our residential program, so as you can see, it's the same components as the Global Supply Chain Management program. So just hand it over to Felipe so that he can tell you a little bit more about the A term, because that's actually the term that we're covering at the moment. So as you can see, there's quite a few courses. So these are the core courses that we're taking at the moment, and which are core, and which are going to be getting the students to get all the fundamentals in supply chain, because they will need to apply them not only in their future careers in supply chain, but also in the thesis project that they're going to be undertaking. So Felipe?
Yep. So yeah, we've finished 3 subjects, I think, already, right, Marta? We've done already the final exams, and they were quite demanding. We've had a lot of work, especially at end of September and throughout October. We had a lot of work, really long working hours. But it's what I said before. It's been really enjoyable, and it's given us a really strong base, logistics and supply chain based knowledge in order to do more complex problems. What we were saying before about the simulation, we have a big task where we have a 3-day simulation that's running 24 hours non-stop. And we have to implement knowledge from our different subjects in analytical methods and inventory systems and probability and statistics. So it's what they teach you is really demanding. You have to study a lot, you have to work a lot, but then you have the opportunity to apply it and to see where everything's going, how everything fits in the supply chain. And it's very, very rewarding then to do a bigger simulation, using all the knowledge you learned in different subjects and studying for different exams. So it's really demanding, but it's quite rewarding afterwards when you've done it properly and you know what you're doing. And they give you a more world-like problem, and you know how to move around. It's enjoyable. It's really nice.
Okay, thanks a lot, Felipe. So yes, as you can see on the screen, so that's the structure of the 10 months actually. So at the beginning, of course, this year we were not able to do any team building activities, but we do have some career workshops at the beginning of the academic year, and we have some preparatory sessions both on mathematics and finance. So as we were saying, so the focus on the A term is systems and methods. The focus on the B term, that would be the MIT part, would be leadership and management. And then from February until the end of the program, end of May, would be a specialization. There are still a couple of courses which are core and which are mandatory to all the students, but that's also the period when we have our electives. That means that that's actually something that I need to send to the students by next week. We talk with our faculty members and we decide on the electives that our faculty members are going to offer to the students. And each student needs to take 2 to graduate from the program. If we offer 4 or 5, students are more than welcome to take all of them. But what they need to take into account is that, okay, yes, there are fewer courses, but they would need more time to focus on your thesis project. And also some people who would be looking for a job, they can use some time to work on some interviews and maybe traveling if it's allowed in the spring for different rounds of interviews. Experiential learning, so that means that we work with real life companies. These are multinationals in all the different sectors that as you can see, so retail, consumer goods, pharma, chemical, I mean, you name them, we have them all. So we've been working with the company since 2008. It is a program that we call Zaragoza Academic Partners. And we've been working with some of the companies. They have sponsored over 10 thesis projects in the past. The good thing about these companies is that in some cases where they see a lot of potential, they can become potential employers as well. And the idea is that so we get the companies to come to present not only their project, but also their companies to the students. Usually during the summer months, Hideki, who is another of the ZLOG team members, works with the company in trying to secure the thesis projects for the students. They come and present the students on the one hand, and by that time we would have prepared the resume book with a template of the resumes of the students, and that we submit to the companies for them to have a look at. The companies can go for 3 options. They can let us know, okay, I would like to interview Felipe and for this project. They can decide, okay, I'm happy. We've worked together for many years now, so I'm happy with the students that you will assign for me. And other companies would say, hey, I'm interested in interviewing as many people as are interested in our program, in our project. So what we do afterwards is, of course, we need to take into account what the company wants. So the compromise with the company is we're going to assign one of your preferred students to your project. And on the other hand, we submit a ranking to our students so that they also let us know which projects they would like to actually, that they would be interested in working with and which, of course, they would not be interested at all. So I think that Felipe was quite happy with the project that he chose and that he was actually picked for. So could you like to tell us and tell the potential candidates a little bit more about the thesis project that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so as Marta said, they organized 10 presentations probably with different companies so that we would all the students would attend the presentations. The company would present what their projects were. And we would get to choose along with the companies and the projects that most interested us. And as Marta said, there's many different sectors. So maybe you don't really like pharma and you prefer other types of sectors. So there was a lot to choose from. And I was lucky enough, I got one of my first choices. Working for the past month and a half, 2 months with a colleague of mine. And along with the company and with a supervisor, one of the professors, which is supervising the project. And right now we're still on the planning part of the thesis, but it's a very interesting project. I think I should not talk much about it. I'm not supposed to, but yeah, I think all the students are very, very happy with their projects. And been looking around and everyone has a very competent, interesting projects that I think we're all going to enjoy and we're going to learn a lot from.
Yeah. So Felipe already said we are going to have you paired up with at least one other classmate. You will have a thesis advisor, which is going to be one of our faculty members. And the project will have the kickoff meeting at the beginning of October. And you would need to submit your thesis project by mid-May, end of May, depending on how the projects are going. Career opportunities, although we tell students right from the start, so with you guys who are actually potential students for next academic year, is that of course we will try to help you as much as we can with career opportunities, but the responsibility of finding a job is yours. That being said, the number of companies that we've been working with and our alumni, as I mentioned earlier, are helping us a lot. So whenever there is an opportunity, they share it with us because they know that there is talent in the program. We also have in the spring term, so companies that do come and recruit directly from the center. And these are some of the companies where our alumni are working. And you can see that we have alumni working pretty much everywhere in the world. A lot, of course, in Europe, the US, and also in Latin America. But as you can see, also a lot of people in India, even in Australia. So it really depends. If you do not have a European passport, some of the companies do have restrictions regarding work permits, but it is a matter of looking for the right company and looking for the right position. There are companies such as Amazon who do not have that sort of restrictions, but some other companies do. So we will be able to help you with your short list of companies in case you come from a country where you would need a work permit if you want to stay in the European Union. Otherwise, we're open to help you with the recruitment process also somewhere else. And this is our friend Dipakshi, who just graduated in May. Dipakshi is taking a role in Pfizer in India, so she went back to her country of origin. So what she told us when I mentioned that, would you like to give us a quote for the presentation and also for our annual report? So she said that coming to Zaragoza for ZLOG was one of the best decisions of my life. It is a perfect balance of theoretical and practical knowledge delivered in a highly diverse environment. The program is quite intense, so as Felipe said, but definitely worth time and efforts. It accelerated my career and helped me grow my professional network. I would highly recommend this program to anyone who's looking for truly global experience with some great minds in supply chain. If we look at the student's profile, so this would be the, excuse me, this would be the profile of the current class. So as you can see, we have a big chunk of engineers, and this is common every year. It's not that we're looking specifically for engineers, but it's the background, the educational background, or where we get more applications from. We invite all disciplines, so we're interested in getting a diversity. So word diversity is very important for us, not only in terms of nationality, also in terms of gender, in terms of education, also in terms of work experience. So you see there, these are some figures that we want to change, the percentage of male and female. So 87% are male, 13% are female. We actually only have 2 women in the current class. We managed one year to have a 50-50 balance, but that only happened one year. So every time that we have these webinars, I try to encourage more women to come and do the program. Supply chain is not a men field, so I encourage you to apply. So we have 12 countries represented. The average age is 32, but we have so people on both ends. That means that we have recent graduates. Felipe is one of our younger students, but we have as well people with over 10 years of work experience. So there's a lot that Felipe brings into the class in terms of, okay, he finished studying not so long ago. So everything's fresh for him. And we have people who've been out of the educational system for many years now, but who have a very solid experience, not only in supply chains, but also in operations or other fields, who can bring in a lot to the rest of the class. And of course, the average would be 5.5 years of work experience. Then again, it will depend on whether they are recent graduates or more professional candidates. The key dates that we mentioned earlier so remain the same. And we have also financial aid, both scholarships as well as a loan that can cover up to 70% of tuition. These are the scholarships that are available. Felipe applied for financial aid. Unfortunately, he only applied to one of the scholarships. He could have applied for both, so depending on where you come from, and you can apply to multiple scholarships. So if you were Spanish, you can apply for the promising professionals, you can apply for the master essay competition, the Spanish citizen, the European Union candidates. So would you like to tell us more about the financial aid section, Felipe?
So as you said, I applied to the essay competition, and yeah, it consisted in writing an essay on a topic about the supply chain, which was very fun to do. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. One of my classmates got it, but I think the applications and everything was quite straightforward. It's all in the web, and it's easy to do and easy to follow. So there's not much complication there.
And as you can see, so we have several scholarships available, and we would not like for financing to be an obstacle in your education. So that's why we have the scholarships as well as the loan. And then if we talk about the third option, which was the blended program. So this we already mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the structure. What I didn't mention is that getting the 5 online courses plus the comprehensive exam and getting the accreditation, it can take up to 18 months. So prior to you coming to the center. So this is something that you need to take into account, that by the time you get to our programs, it could have been almost 2 years since you start applying or you start taking some of the online courses. The student profile is a little bit different, but as you can see, well, we still have 60% coming from engineering, 16% from business and economics, and 24% from other disciplines. 70% are men and 30% are women. The average age is pretty much the same. Then again, so recent graduates, as well as people with more experience, same amount of, this is pure coincidence, 5.5 years of work experience. And we have 8 countries of origin represented in the cohort that will join us in January in Zaragoza. This is Tai. So Tai, he also graduated from the program in May. I mean, it's a long quote that he gave. We felt really sorry for the blended students whose experience in Zaragoza in Spain wasn't as expected, because they actually got to make it to MIT in January in Boston, where they were in Zaragoza from the beginning of February until mid-March when we went on lockdown. So they came from their online education to online, but being in a country where most of them didn't speak the language, and being online and be forced to be online and at home. So Tai said that the ZLOG B is a rare opportunity in this crowded world that provides a very short and convenient path to formal higher education. It's true, if you compare it to the 10-month education, this is only 5 months. So in collaboration with world-class academic institutions like MIT, I have benefited from quality intellectual sources both sides of the Atlantic. Being exposed into a rich cultural exchange during the program is also great for you to embolden your life experience and make friends around the world. The master's degree has given me not only valuable knowledge, but paved the way for me to advance in my career. In Tai's case, so he came and he actually came from a Tiki corporation. So after the program, he got promoted. I have been double promoted, he mentioned that, senior director level after graduation. The new position by itself, it's another hit, learning program that opened up the next level of continuous self-progression on the corporate ladder. I cannot recommend you to try anything but apply for this wonderful journey. Tai, we miss you, you know. And these are the key dates for next year. So while for the other programs, we already had a first round of admissions. So there's only 2 rounds of admission for the blended program. The first one is January 15th. So some of the questions we get is that some people who have completed the MicroMaster credential are sometimes interested in applying to both. Since there is a coincidence in deadlines, you can apply to both the residential and the blended program. And we actually have one student in the current residential class who took all the 5 online courses, got the MicroMaster credential, and in the end decided to come for the residential program. And the second round deadline is June 21st. So those dates are in accordance with when the comprehensive exams are taking place. And these are some of the activities that we're hoping that we will be able to have with you when you get here. There's been a running team, and there's going to be a race at, before the Christmas period. So we really hope that our students can maybe join the race. We also have some activities that the whole center does together with all the students and staff. And as you can see, there was also a potluck just before Christmas. So now, of course, we cannot have that many people together, let alone being on the same room. But we really hope that even if we need to wear masks, that we will be able to do something all together. And by the time, guys, you come to the program, hopefully that by then everything will go back to being more normal in that sense. And this is pretty much from us. So we're now open to your questions. So both Felipe and myself. So I'll leave the floor to Federica, and I'll just stop sharing my screen.
Thank you so much, Marta, and thank you so much, Felipe, for your presentation and for sharing with us all of these very useful information. We actually have quite a good number of questions, so let's try to go through them. First of all, they're asking us how has been the employment outcomes for international students this year, and basically, there is a possibility to find a job in European Union after completing these masters?
Okay, so let me be totally honest with you. This past year has been a disaster because of the pandemic. So we have a good number of students who are currently looking for jobs. We had some companies who came and recruit from the program, and we had started with the recruitment process, and some students had been taking several rounds of interviews. And of course, some of the processes got frozen, some of the processes disappeared, and of course, nobody was recruiting. So this was very unfortunate for the class that just graduated. But if we talk about previous classes, we have around 60% of our students receive at least one offer before graduation. Within 3 to 6 months, 90%, and then the remaining 10%. Regarding the opportunities, so as I mentioned before, it's going to really depend on the company that you're targeting and on your nationality, unfortunately. Some people are lucky because they have dual citizenships. So those who hold a European passport are going to have it easier than those who don't. But then again, it's a matter of looking for those companies who are willing to sponsor work permits.
Thank you so much, Marta. Another question is about what is the difference in career progression from a master in supply chain with respect to an MBA in operation? So someone who is thinking about an MBA in operation, but also a program, a specialized master's.
Okay, so you just said it, Federica, so it's the specialization. So usually we get this question about doubtful, so should I do an MBA, should I do a specialization? The truth is that we do have dual degree programs with other business schools, and these are very much appreciated by students. But it's true that there are a lot of people on the market who have an MBA, but there's not so many people who have a specialization. So if you're already in operations or focusing on supply chain, then this is the program for you, of course.
Thank you so much. Another question is about the admission process. They're asking us if they need to pass an interview to get admitted, and if so, what they should prepare for this interview.
Well, there's a few things that you need to do in order to apply. There's a few requirements. So we ask for students to go on the platform. So that's Grad Apply, And you need to submit an application form with an essay as to why would you like to do this program. You need to submit your resume. You need to submit GMAT or GRE or also SCOX, which is the first online course that we talked about the blended program, so that we can assess your analytical skills. We can consider waiving this requirement if you come from an engineering background. So in order to be able to grant you the waiver, or if you come from mathematics or very technical educational training, you would need to send us your transcript so that we can assess whether we can grant the waiver. You need to also submit English course if you're a non-native speaker, 2 letters of recommendation, and a video statement. The video statement helps us in the admissions process because it's going to show us your soft skills. So what we recommend for the video statement is, can you please not read from the screens, because we can tell that you're reading. We can see your eyes going like this. And for the letters of recommendation, we are looking, if possible, 1 letter of recommendation from industry and 1 from academia. If you just finish your studies and you have an internship, maybe from your supervisor. If you do not have a letter of recommendation from a supervisor, so 2 from your professors. And if you've been working for over 10 years, it will have to come from industry.
Thank you so much. There is also a question for Felipe. They're asking, what made you decide to apply to ZLC? And maybe you can tell us more about your application process, any advice that you can share with us.
So when I was looking for masters, I said I was looking for more industrial engineering, logistics, supply chain in general. And what really made my mind was that I went into what Martha said before, into the list of the best masters in Europe and in Spain. And I found that there was the best one in the world was here in Zaragoza, as well as in Malaysia and the MIT. So I applied. I was admitted for another one in Madrid, which is quite good as well. But when they admitted me in this one, which is better according to all the rankings, that's what really made me come here, knowing that it's one of the top, if not the top university for the studies.
Good choice, Felipe.
And is there any tips that you feel like you would like to share for the application? So for example, for the video that Marta was mentioned before, any other steps?
At the beginning, it's a bit, it's a bit uphill. It can be seen a bit uphill, but just do it, be yourself, do it honestly. And yeah, what Marta was saying, don't try to read, don't make a script, just say what you think and do it as best as you can.
And also for the video statement, it's not that you need to record the video right away. So just reply to the 3 questions. Practice. And it's like, okay, I messed it up and it's been sent to the admissions committee. So you can record it and until you're happy with your own video.
Perfect, thank you. Another question still about application, how early should I apply? And will I get any help from the team with the visa?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, for when you can apply as of now if you want. So the next round of admission is January 15th. As Felipe also mentioned, it takes time to gather all the application materials. So it doesn't matter, you can open your account in GradApply and start uploading the information, the documentation that you have. It doesn't make a difference that you apply. It's not that we have quotas regarding each admission cycle. So if we believe that there are 10 people who should be admitted in January 15th, then we will admit it. If we believe that only 5 should be admitted from the March deadline, those would be admitted. So it really depends on how advanced you are with your application process. The only thing that you need to take into account is the deadlines for the scholarships if you're planning on applying for any of the scholarships. I think there was a second part of the question, Federica, that I missed.
It was if there is any help for the visa.
Yes, so I mentioned that Hideki helps with the thesis projects and the recruitment, but we also have Clara, who's been my colleague for many years now, and who helps the students a lot with visa, with accommodation, with bank accounts, with taking the students to the doctor if needed. So she's the nice person, let's say, to go to in the team, because she's always there for the students.
Thank you. You mentioned before that you can apply as early as possible, and of course you would be admitted by merit. Do you have an average on how many students get admitted per year? And another question is if it's hard to get admitted in a way that it is competitive.
Mm-hmm. It is selective, so I can tell you that this year we didn't receive as many applications as other years, but still we receive around 200 applications per year, and usually we have 20 to 25 students in the class. I mean, the center is small. We're not interested also in having, let's say, you as a number. So Felipe, everybody knows Felipe. Felipe knows everybody. It is important for us also because we have a limited number of faculty members that can assist the students, and also we have the figure of the teaching assistant who are actually our PhD students. So this is why we want to make sure that we make a good selection process in the program, and we're never going to have a big class size. It's always going to be a small one.
Thank you so much. Another question is about the academic background. They're asking us if it's mandatory to have a degree to get admitted, or in particular, someone who has a lot of year of work experience, over 10 years of working experience, asking if this can actually waive the degree.
Unfortunately, one of the requirements is to be a holder of a bachelor's degree. In some cases, it can be discussed at the university level, but usually this could be the case that you need to be a holder of a bachelor's degree.
Thank you so much. Another question is about if after getting graduated, you also be issued with an MIT scale certification.
Okay, yeah, so you get both. You get the university degree is granted by the University of Zaragoza, but you also get a certificate from the MIT Global Scale Network.
Still a question about the requirement. They're asking if a GMAT or GRE is required, and if so, what is the average GMAT score?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so if you do not come from an engineering background or mathematics or physics or one of the tough ones, then you could need to take one of these standardized tests. So GMAT, our minimum required would be 640. That's on a scale of 800. For the GRE, we look at the percentile. So we're looking at 75% on the quantitative part, and 50% on the verbal section, given that most people that apply are non-native. If you're taking the SCOX, then the minimum required could be 75%.
Great that you mentioned, because there was also within our questions. There is also another question is in terms of like if there is any sort of limit in terms of working experience. So if someone has, let's say, around 16 years of work experience, or also if there is a limit of age. We talked about an average age. Is there a limit, or?
Not at all. Why should there be? I mean, we should keep on learning. So whomever wants to be in the program and learn, it's not an obstacle. In fact, let me give you an example. I had a student who was actually from Spain. We invite also, if there's some Spanish students attending this seminar, and also some of the from other nationalities in Europe, we would like to invite you to come and attend the session so that you can see the dynamics of the class, also to meet with the current students. Felipe, that's actually something that he did. He came and saw, and he was able to come before the pandemic. So we had one student who came, and he was in the class, and he said, oh, I really like the program and I would really like to come, but I see that there are some young people, and I think that maybe this is not the program for me, because according to my age and my the number of years of work experience that I have, I think that I would feel like I'm the father to all these children in the class. And I said, well, this is a decision that you need to make. I think that you would really enjoy being in this type of program. And so he made a bet about the program. He did come to the program, and by the end of the program, he came and told me this was one of the best decisions that I've ever taken. So if that's only an obstacle for you, do not consider it. It could be a great opportunity for you to learn as well.
Thank you so much. So Camilo is asking us, so basically, if a candidate holds an engineering degree, in this case, that does not need to present the GRE or GMAT, correct?
But you would still need to send me your transcript so that we can assess.
Perfect. Great. Question about the recommendation letter. So before you mentioned that they will need to have 2 recommendation letters, if I'm not mistaken, and who should write those letters?
Okay, so you need to get your recommenders. So maybe if your boss knows that you're going to leave the company because you're undertaking further education, maybe you can ask your boss. What we don't like to see either is a recommendation from a friend or a family member. These are not the type of recommendation that we look for. So it has to be either a supervisor or a previous boss or a professor. And so when you're going to request them, you have 2 options. You can either use a recommendation letter that you received in the past for something else, or you can ask the system. You just have to enter the email address of your recommenders, and Grad Apply will send them a form and a link to submit their online recommendation letter.
Thank you so much. Another question is actually about PhD program. So we have a couple of students asking if there is any, if we can talk about how to apply for PhD, or maybe if we can share some details of, let's say, an office that they can contact for this.
There's definitely a PhD program director and a PhD program coordinator that I can put you in touch with. You can send me an email on the last page of the presentation, so admissions@zlc.edu.es, and I'll forward it on to them for sure.
Thank you so much. Perfect. So in terms of all the PhD, of all the other questions that maybe they're more specific related, of course, you will receive the presentation. And also, yes, someone asked if the session is recorded. Yes, so you can have access to this, so you can watch it later, maybe take some screenshots. And questions about scholarships. So we mentioned before there are a number of scholarships. Someone is asking if in particular we have scholarships from students from Africa, also Asian Indian students. I mean, are they also for countries, for example?
Okay, so for the residential program, we do have a specific scholarship for African candidates. In fact, we had one student who was going to join us, who was our colleague at the beginning of the academic year, that because of lockdown in her country of origin and poor internet connection, she could not continue with the program. So in her case, so she's of course, she got a deferral for next year, but she would need to reapply for the visa. So for African students, we do have a visa of 50% of the tuition. That's on the residential program. And for Indian students, they will be eligible to apply for the general one. For Asian countries, they can apply for the Global Supply Chain Management Program scholarships as well. But yes, as mentioned, so there's plenty of opportunities for applying for financial aid.
Thank you so much. Before you mentioned companies that collaborate with you, there's a question about if we can name some companies that work for the master thesis this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of the companies that work for this year, I mean, we're not allowed to reveal the names of the companies. I mean, you've seen the logos. So some of the companies that the students are working with are already on the slide. But you've seen that we work with Johnson & Johnson, with Roche, with Clarion, with AB InBev. We work also with Accenture, with Ralph Lauren, P&G. I mean, just to name a few. I mean, I did mention a couple that are already sponsoring projects this year, but just to give you an idea of the type of companies that we work with.
Thank you.
We have a very specific NDA agreement. So.
Good. Well, whoever asked this question, then of course put an application through, get into the program, and you get to know more about all of these programs. I know we answered this question at the beginning, Martha, but we still have a couple of people interested to find out more about how this master can actually make a change in terms of like salaries, expectation, and also career. So if we can give some example, for example, of recent graduates and what they're doing at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Then again, it's going to really depend on the level of seniority of the candidate. But just to give you an example of a very successful young student who graduated in May and who was actually lucky enough to get recruited. So he's holding a demand planner position, and salaries are very competitive. So the return of investment, it's really high. And compared to what the students had in the past, it's really exponential. I mean, we do not give any figures because it's not like the program at MIT where most of the students stay in the US, because the salaries in Europe vary a lot depending on the country, but also the taxes vary a lot. So we had one student who got an offer to work in Ireland, and at the end of the day, he was making less money, but was getting more savings than someone who got recruited to work for a big company in Switzerland. The salaries are very, very competitive. If you're looking for job opportunities in Spain, they are there as well, but the salaries are not competitive enough. That's why most of our students go abroad for the international exposure as well.
Great, thank you so much. Well, we answered the majority of the question, and as Marta was saying, there is no such as like a number that we can share at the moment about these figures. But actually, before closing, I wanted to ask Marta and Felipe if there was just one last piece of advice that you feel you want to give to the many people they're still connecting with us at this point. A lot has been said, but maybe something else to add.
Felipe, you want to go ahead?
I would say apply for sure. It may be the process and everything, it may be a bit look uphill, but apply, it's worth it. And I'm really, really happy. I was doubting because I had an offer from another university, and I did decide to apply. My uncle, he's an engineer as well. He's been working in logistics for many years, and he told me very good things about the university. And he pushed me into it, and yeah, I applied, and I'm very, very happy. So if you're in doubt, for sure apply.
Yeah, and also, so we're gonna treat you very well, and this could be a decision that you will not regret. So any questions that you may have, you can either write to me by email or send them to Doc City, and I'm happy to have a face-to-face interview with any of you. Some of you we've already spoken to. I'm still looking at the participant list, so it's good to see some familiar names. And we really hope to see your application, and we're willing to help you through the whole process. And any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Felipe is busy at the moment, but I'm sure that if you have any other questions, he'll be happy to answer. And hope to see the applications coming either for the next round or the following one.
Thank you so much. So yes, as we mentioned earlier, we will be sending you an email after this webinar. So you will have the presentation, you will have the recording, you will have Marta's details. So feel free to reach out to them or also to us for any sort of questions. Will be available. So thank you so much for Marta and Felipe for being with us this afternoon, and for all the participants that stayed connected with us. And we look forward to seeing you soon at the next live webinar. And also, we really hope that this was useful and you put an application through and you get to meet Felipe and Marta in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Federica, and thank you everyone who attended today. And then again, thank you, Felipe. You can run back to your simulation game.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, bye-bye, everyone.